Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. My name's Dan, and I'm joined by Steph and Nikki, and we're going to talk about Mass Effect 3. So, why don't you two introduce yourselves?
Hello.
So, hi. We have a podcast called Game Till 5, and we talk about game lists, basically.
Yeah, we do like top fives in gaming, and every so often, Dan very nicely lets us come on his podcast and talk about games that we like, which is lovely.
Yes. Well, yeah, we did Mass Effect 2 last time, didn't we? So this is a nice little follow-on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thanks for having us back.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for coming back. Yeah, like they said, Mass Effect 2 was what they were on last time, and actually, I realized this is your 5th time on, so wow. Thank you for coming back so frequently. That's super cool.
Thanks for having us back that frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Again, like they said, highly recommend their podcast too. I think I was on maybe twice, something like that.
Yeah, we were so rubbish now. Sorry, I'm not really advertising a podcast very well. Because we release podcasts monthly, and it's normally if we actually have time. So we've sort of taken a bit of a back seat. But we are a monthly podcast now, and we're just terrible at organisation. So, but we should have you back soon. Actually, we should do that.
Yeah, we should actually try and be slightly more organised than we are.
Yeah.
Life has been chaotic for a few years. I think that you're still putting anything out is very cool. So, and I always look forward to it when they come out. Yeah. They're always like an auto download for me. I'm like, all right, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you and talking about top fives that I'm either know a lot about or don't know much about, and it's still fun hanging out. Yeah, for sure. But Steph and Nikki also love Mass Effect. That's been a thing they've talked about a lot on their show, and so it was fun connecting, sometime last year to do Mass Effect 2, so thought it would be great to wrap up the series together. So exciting to be here.
Yeah, we talk about Mass Effect, I think, a criminal amount on the podcast.
So it's good to talk about it more. And it's good to be put into a space where we're actually allowed to talk about it a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Yeah, I'll link Steph and Nikki's stuff in the notes. They'll probably tell you it again at the end also, but go check out their show. It's a great time to hear different top fives in video games. It's very fun. But with that, we can dive into Mass Effect 3. So I'll start out with a description for us about this game. It says, Earth is burning. The Reapers have taken over and other civilizations are falling like dominoes. Lead the final fight to save humanity and take Earth back from those terrifying machines as Commander Shepard. You'll need backup for these battles. Fortunately, the galaxy has a habit of sending unexpected species your way. Recruit team members, forge new alliances, but be prepared to say goodbye at any time as partners make the ultimate sacrifice. It's time for Commander Shepard to fight for the fate of humanity and save the galaxy. No pressure, Commander. And then background on the game. It's developed by BioWare, who, of course, has done the Mass Effect series. Also the Dragon Age series, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. This is their kind of game. I feel like if you like BioWare, you've probably played Mass Effect, but if you haven't, this is their style of game. This is what kind of games they make. And for both of you, you're BioWare people anyway. You like Dragon Age also, right? Like you kind of like anything BioWare makes. That's kind of your wheelhouse.
Pretty much, yeah. I don't know if I can say the same exactly for Steph for everything, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Dragon Age and Knights of the Old Republic, and another game they did back in the day, Jade Empire. That was also a BioWare game. That was really good. Basically anything that BioWare makes, I'm down. Apart from a couple of games which I won't mention.
Yeah, similar to Nikki. I think Nikki's probably more of the BioWare stan than I am. I'm very much Mass Effect, and I like the others. I'm really terrible at playing them. I think it's probably my thing.
Okay. That's good. I think this is a good scale. I feel like Nikki is probably our expert. I would say you're in the middle, and then I'm actually newer to BioWare. I've only played the Mass Effect series, and this is all my first time going through, so all of this brand new for me.
Next stop, Dragon Age.
Yeah, it seems like that's what I have to do next, is check that out, since it sounds like it's fantasy Mass Effects instead of Mass Effect in space. That's awesome. I guess also, I know both of you love Mass Effect. Have you played through, I'm guessing you've played through the series kind of multiple times. What's kind of that for you two?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I played it as they were coming out, and I sort of did sort of like general playthroughs after. But I have the Legendary Edition, and I tried playing one a bit, and I might have mentioned last time I did struggle with that slightly. But I would say I've not played it through as much as I'd hoped, and that's normally because I get stuck at one and I get annoyed at one, and then I never make it through. But I did replay it all when like the Citadel DLC and a lot of the DLCs came out. But that was quite a while ago. I'm a bit awful at playing games again.
Yeah, and I haven't played them again. I haven't really played them again in a while. Probably similar to Nick, but when they did come out, I was a little bit later to the game. I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but like Nikki kind of said, like you need to play these things because you would love them, and I'd always like looked at the box art whenever I'd gone into like game, or I can't remember what the other thing was that died here that was the game store, and looked at them and gone, I don't think this game is for me, but Nikki persuaded me, and then it was around the time that 3 was just about to come out. And so I spent one glorious summer when I didn't really have much to do and all I did was work in a bar, just playing Mass Effect the whole way through. And it was great. It was a lovely time.
Yeah. I imagine it's a really good game to play like you kind of done it, Dan, and Steph done it, where you kind of attack it all at once. I had to have the stress of waiting between each game, and although that did build this kind of anticipation, it would be quite cool to play it all through again. I think if I was to count, I've probably played through it all maybe, I'm going to say 2.5 times, because sometimes I skip games.
That makes sense. I think that, so for me, I guess I played the first one on a PS3, I don't know, maybe like 4 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And really struggled. My PS3 was pretty shitty. Mass Effect 1 is feels old now, playing it on PS3. But then I played Legendary Edition for 2 and 3. And I feel like that really changed what my experience was like. Like, I don't know that I'd want to go back to 1, but I could see myself playing 2 and 3 again, kind of, based on my experiences.
Yeah, I think it always seems like a really lovely idea that you're going to start at 1 and go all the way through, but then you start playing 1 and you're like, actually, I don't know if I could do this slog again. I think I tried it when I brought the Legendary Edition and I was like, I'm going to do it. And then I just didn't.
Yeah. I do like that the comic book thing I'm sure it's for each game, but in 2, at least when I played that on Legendary Edition, there was like a comic book and you could just answer kind of what you did in situations and it filled your choices in and then it just let you pick up. And I didn't feel like I was hopping in the middle of a movie or something. Like it felt like, okay, cool, I get it, and was able to move that way. So
for sure. And it helped as well that you had played like a bit of 1 before your PS3 gave up. But yeah, no, I think it's really good they do that because they give you the ability to basically skip that game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and though one's one of those ones which just a lot of setup, so if you can just do that in a really short form, you're not really missing loads of like integral story and unfolding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I feel like 1 sets the stage for 2 and 3, so you have to have it, but I don't know. It's not going to be something you love and want to spend lots of time with. So no, cool. This is good. I feel like this is sort of good background for each of us, kind of where we've come with our experiences here, all of that. So before we dig into kind of spoilers of Mass Effect 3, going kind of deeper into it, I thought it would be good to just sort of talk maybe non-spoilery if for some reason someone hasn't played Mass Effect 3 but wants to. Maybe give some impressions on the game, and then I think answer at least one key question of who are our favorite characters. I feel like that's really important in how people play Mass Effect games. So I guess we could start off with some non-spoiler thoughts. For me, one thing I missed in Mass Effect 3 compared to Mass Effect 2 was I really liked having that giant companion party of, I don't know, 8 or 10 people. It felt like you had so many people you could recruit to join you, and in this one I think your team was 8 people, and so it felt kind of small. And for me, I basically just took the same 2 people almost every mission. Even with the extra options or less options, I was still like, I only want these couple people, and there were some people I never used. So I kind of missed the larger group from the first game.
Yeah, I was really sad that there's no Krogan squad mate in this one that you can have around with you.
Yeah, that does suck.
I missed having my Krogan friend, because you're right. Like
Well-
you get so many cool things in 2, and then 3 is just like have all these people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was bummed by that because especially with Grunt, like I used Grunt a lot in 2, and mine died. My Grunt died, so that was.
I was
sad,
going to say,
but
didn't you kill Grunt?
I did. He got killed at the end. It was a bummer. Also, unfortunately, this continues through this game, but a lot of my friends die. I'm not a very good shepherd, I
no.
think.
I was
We're for a
saying
bumpy ride.
I was saying to Steph earlier, I was like, who have you actually got remaining? Because I remember a lot of people died for you, so I was like, who are you actually taking into this game?
Yeah, mine is small and gets a little worse. So
Oh, no.
yeah, it's unfortunate. I think that there are parts of me as shepherd that aren't good, which sucks because I try to go very Paragon. So I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be good, but obviously not good enough because my friends still die. Let's see. The only other like big thing I had as a non-spoiler is I think this game does a good job of wrapping this series up, which I think is a hard task. It's like, you've got this trilogy of games, people really love them, all of that stuff. And I mean, how do you end something like that? I don't know. I don't know if it's like something you can have a perfect landing on. And like, I don't think it's perfect. And as we'll get into later, it sounds like people's experience on release of endings versus what they have now are different. But I don't know. I feel like overall, like it feels like a complete story and it makes sense to me and like all of that. So I don't know. I think they did well with a hard task.
Yeah, I would say that mine are probably similar. I think that, it was always going to be a difficult thing to do, but I think they did it very well, and it was incredibly cinematic, and it felt like the stakes were like incredibly high, and it felt like quite intense, I think, and you kind of knew that everything was sort of coming to a head, and I think they captured that really well. And I think as well, like just my overall thoughts on it, I think they refined this game very nicely from the last 2. I think like the combat and everything has sort of just come to its own in this one, and just the way that the game, I think, kind of was, to me, just felt like just a nice overall refined game. And I was going to say as well, I think I like that a lot of the choices, obviously no spoilers, but I like a lot of the fact that a lot of the choices from the last games can have effect on this one. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, I feel very similar to Nikki. This one definitely felt like the most cinematic. Of all the things that happen, like especially even at like the start, which we can get into obviously when we talk about it, but like that feels really dramatic and really intense. There's a really nice build up for like the rest of the game and all the different things that can happen in it. And you're right, it really refined everything. Like it feel how you feel about the ending. However, but like the whole game as a whole felt like a refined kind of version of all the stuff that we'd seen, which was really cool. But yeah, and characters and DLC. That's the best DLC.
Yeah. I think that's a good point of this one feeling cinematic and what they've built too. Of like, it's very clear like the improvements from 1 to 2, but then again, still going with that. Like, I don't know. I think they figured it out even more as they went, and I don't know. I imagine got stronger at different development things. And I guess technology probably got a bit better in those years too, which helps out as well. So, yeah, kind of cool to see there for sure. Cool. All right. I feel like that's pretty good for some non-spoilers. Now we'll dive into the people. Of course, Mass Effect, I feel like, is a series that is the most about the people. I feel like if you like the people that are in these games, you're going to like these games. And I guess if somehow you don't like any of them, then I think you're in the wrong series for yourself. So I guess first covering your squad members, I think are important. So you start off with about half of your squad being people who are kind of your OGs from game 1. You saw them in game 2 if they survived, all of that. And so you can have Caden Olenko or Ashley Williams. They're sort of significant in that they're your kind of first human long-term companion through the game. I think Caden is with you in mission 1, and you meet Ashley early in mission 1. So if whichever one of those that have survived up to this point, they've been sort of a long-standing Shepherd ally. You've got Tali Zora. She's a Quarian. You have her in game 1 as well. Liara Tsoni, she's an Asari. And then Garrus Valinkin, Vicarian, Turian. These 3 all are people you also have in game 1. Some of them are squad members throughout. Some of them go aside. Like Liara, it has a role in 2, but she's not a squad member. But Tali and Garrus both are. So, I feel like these 4 are kind of your significant people who you've been with all the way through. You get a new character, James Vega, who's a soldier who gets introduced, who's a human in this game. You also get introduced to Javik, who's a Prothean, who are like the race of people who tried to stop the Reapers 50,000 years ago or whatever it is. And he got kind of like frozen in a chamber. And he ends up being one of your available squad members, and he wants to kind of defeat the Reapers. And then lastly, you have Edie, who before was just the AI inside Normandy, but she ends up getting a physical body early in the game and becomes a squad member. So these are your main squad members. You have a lot of other characters throughout the games who show up here too. Some including former squad members from Mass Effect 2, Miranda Lawson, Morden Solis, Captain Anderson still around, Admiral Hackett, a whole bunch of other people. Lots of other folks that we meet. But I think that the big question, I would say, is who our favorite squad members are. So I was curious, who are your favorite squad members?
So for me, honestly, I really liked the squad lineup in this because I really liked having the OGs come back because it just feels like you've been on this huge journey with them this whole time. And so it just feels right that they're there. But obviously, I'm very happy that Caden has returned, my boyfriend. So I'm very happy to have him back on my squad because he's non-existent in the second one really. So that made me very happy. So I've got to say will always be one of my favourites and I'll always have him around. But to be honest, it's so hard to pick my other favourites. Garrus, of course, my best buddy. He'll probably be my favourite there. But I liked all of them. James Vega, he's voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., who I really enjoyed because apparently he actually generally really loves the game. And so the fact that they kind of let him voice James Vega I thought was very cool. But it's so hard to pick. Like, I also love Edie. I think I had Edie as well a lot. It's just they're all great. Honestly, I sometimes I dislike characters. I mean, I don't like Ashley obviously, but I don't have her. So, but yeah, it was a great lineup.
Yeah, obviously I'm very attached to the OGs. I'm less attached to Caden and Ashley, mostly because Caelan burnt me in Mass Effect 2 and I'll never forgive him. And but I love having Tali. Tali's one of my favourites, and Liara and Garrus, obviously, who's my true love. But I liked James Vega as a character. It did feel a bit weird trying to introduce somebody new at this point. And I never had Javik because I didn't ever have that. Because originally he was a part of like the DLC, and I never had him for that. So, I have no notion of him. Obviously, I think he's now just included in the Legendary Edition, so you get him for free, which is great. And Edie I love because you've had Edie from quite early. Did you get her in the first or the second? I can't remember.
I think she's the
part
second,
of your
isn't she?
ship.
Because she's something to do with Cerberus, isn't she?
Yeah, she's the ship AI. Because I know she starts off as the ship AI, but yeah, so you have her at least for 2 games. So it was like a little bit of like, I liked James Vega, but I was a bit like, I never really used him because I was so attached to having. I think I mostly took like Tali, Garrus, and Edie out with me, like one of those 3.
Nice. Yeah, that's how I felt too with, I think I was more like you, Steph. I just took out Garrus and Liara basically like every mission. There were a few where they'd have you use someone else and like, I'd still go talk to them. Like it wasn't like I'd go ignore Caden or James Vega or Javik or whoever. But I didn't feel as compelled to like change my squad because the OGs were there. And also for me, my whole squad of here were alive. I didn't have like Garrus die or anything like that. So I had all these people, which was good. except Ashley, because she died a long time ago. But, you know.
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, that's okay that she's gone. But, you know, I think that's something that's a little tough on this. I don't know how you could make your squad a way where I'd want to cycle everyone as well. I don't know. I'm not sure. But yeah, I thought that was cool. I asked people on Twitter who they brought, and we got a couple answers from people. So first up, we got Andrew on Twitter who said, Caden will be my husband forever. Liara, can you tell I like biotics? And Garrus, because Garrus.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Solid logic.
For sure. Katie on Twitter has similar sentiment. She says Garrus, Liara, and Caden. So same thing there. A lot of love for them. Christopher on Twitter said Tali, Garrus, and Liara, OG squad till the end. So lining up a lot with what we say. Johnny on Twitter said Garrus and Liara, no question. Chris on Twitter said Liara, Garrus, Ashley, and Tali, and a little bit of James too. So it sounds like they spread their squad out a little more. And last up, we've got Nikki, said Garrus, just like old times. And of course, Tali, best girl Zora, also Edie. And I wish I could say Javik because he's a living Prothean, but after all, but I don't like him.
Yeah, with Javik, like I kind of love and hate him. Like he was quite sassy when you first meet him. Like he's quite, and I don't think he's the warmest person, but he's cool. But I can totally understand that.
Yeah, same. When I met him, I was like, wow, this is really cool. And then when you got to know him a little more, you're like, I don't want to bring you on my squad. Like, if someone needs a squad leader, I'd use you, but for it. But I don't want to hang out with you that much.
No, he's not great at like being personable. He doesn't know how to be likable, I think. Poor Javik.
Right. I love the Protheans are supposed to be these like great things that we want to see, and they've helped us. And then we're actually like, oh, maybe you should have stayed where you were. Maybe we
stayed on the ship.
Right, you're better as a legend, but then when I met you, you're like, oh.
This is not how I imagined you to be.
Yeah, that's funny. Cool. All right, so from here, I guess we can just hop into kind of recap, get into the game itself and what happened for us. I guess also as a PSA, I guess, is the recap I have here is largely what mine kind of looked like. So Steph and Nikki's, of course, probably has some, if not lots of differences. So we'll try to chime in those along the way, but I guess just as sort of the main, I don't know, way it'll start being talked through is what mine looked like. But I know a lot of other versions happened for all of us and anyone listening. So we'll, try to address especially those key points as we go of like, okay, what happened for you here? But yeah, with that, we'll hop in. Our game begins with shit hitting the fan, basically, which is Shepard is on Earth and he's been in kind of like Alliance custody for a year or two since the last game ended. And then Earth gets attacked by the Reapers. And so here you start off with Vega and then Caden as your squad. And you're basically trying to get off of Earth. Shit's going down. Reapers are here. All sorts of destruction. And
it begins very epically, I must say. Like, it, yeah.
Yeah, you're thrust right into it immediately. Like, there's no pause. There's no, like, you barely get a warm welcome for Shepard or anything like that. It's just like, boom, shit hits the fan.
I suppose they did that in 2 as well a little bit, didn't they, I guess? To an extent. So they do like to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Right, because getting Joker off the Normandy.
So it starts very chaotically, and I suppose this one does kind of follow suit, which is quite cool.
Yeah, totally. I thought that was great. And kind of how your time on Earth resolves is Captain Anderson makes you leave. He's like, you need to go get help. I can handle Earth. We'll do what we can here. Get out of here. Go to the Citadel. Tell the rest of the galaxy, like, the Reapers are here. It's happening. We have to fight. Kind of thing. And so Shepard heads off that way. Anderson's on Earth. As you're leaving, you just see all sorts of destruction. There's like a moment where there's like a kid you try to save who gets killed because he wouldn't let you save him because he was scared. It's a mess, and you get the sort of turmoil for Shepard, I think, of like, my home is being destroyed. You know, like he has that I don't know, affection towards Earth, and he's seeing Earth be ruined, and he's like, all right, I have to do what I can.
Oh, good old Captain Anderson. Just, you know, and we're like,
I love
fine,
Captain
I can handle
Anderson
Earth. He's
so
the best.
much. He's probably one of my like most loved characters, I think, from this series as a whole. I don't know what it is about him. He's just great.
Yeah, he's just like, I can handle the whole of Earth getting destroyed. You go off. I've got this. This is fine.
I've got this. Yeah. Does he got this though? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. I really like him, and I like him and Shepard's relationship a lot. Like, it's clearly like this, almost like father-son thing. Like, you know,
I was gonna say it has those vibes. Yeah.
Which is great. You just love it that they're both like super good at what they do, but a lot of respect towards each other. But, you know, Shepard would follow what Anderson says even if he doesn't agree with it, because he's like, you're my person. Kind of other thing that happens really early in the game is you go to Mars and you fight Cerberus there, and you get Liara added to your squad. So this also sort of sets up your two conflicts that you have in the game. So one big part of the conflict, of course, is the Reapers are finally here. You know, that's been what we've been hinting towards for the first two games, dealing with in smaller doses. Now the galaxy's like straight up under attack, with Earth getting hit first to start the game. So you've got that major conflict going on. And then on the other side, you have Cerberus being kind of your other full-blown bad guys who are trying to use this opportunity to sort of swoop in and take control themselves, who Shepard had kind of worked for in Mass Effect 2, depending how loyal he was to Cerberus or not. You can sort of decide that for yourself, what your relationship looked like. But Cerberus is trying to swoop in, and their hope is to either rule the galaxy once the Reapers do what they do, or maybe even control the Reapers to be able to control the galaxy further. So these are sort of your two central conflicts.
Yeah, Cerberus is just so annoying. Like, I feel like, you know, you're trying to fight like the big fight, the main fight, and the Cerberus is just always there, just like poking, and yeah, they just are very annoying.
Yeah. But it kind of is. It always feels like weird because obviously you work with them in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So you're always like, oh, these guys. I can't believe I helped you guys. Like, it's the worst thing I've ever done.
It's just a big reminder of your constant regret and bad decisions.
Yeah, just always there, hovering about. Also, with this section, I didn't realise until looking at a bunch of stuff like afterwards and things, but there's quite a lot of like stuff here that you do in this mission, depending if you're like Paragon or Renegade kind of thing, that like affects a lot of stuff between you and either like Caden or Ashley much later on in the game. Because obviously there's a bit of tension around Cerberus and those two from the second game, and apparently it's really connected, which I didn't realise.
That's good. That's a actually, I guess this is a good question. How do you guys play? So I play pretty Paragon heavy. Are you more Renegade, more Paragon, sort of a split? What do you do?
I'm Paragon, but if someone annoys me, I might punch them in the face.
Yeah, same. I think I only ever punched like one person, and I can't remember why.
If they're being, you know, an asshole, then I think that it's justified. But mostly, yeah, I'm always good. I can never be like evil in games. I really struggle.
Yeah, same. I really want to do a playthrough where I am just a total space asshole and pick every Renegade option ever. But I don't know if I can bring myself to do it, because I feel like you lose a lot more people that way. And
you wouldn't have anyone.
I love everybody, and I'm like, just me at the end, just going through the whole game by myself.
Yeah, Yeah, I'm the same way. I have a hard time doing, like, I did renegade options a few times, but it was like, okay, if I'm doing something shitty to the bad guy, like, okay, I'm not gonna let him surrender, I'll shoot him. You know, like,
Yeah.
I might do something like that, but like, just being renegade to be renegade, I don't know. My personality won't let me do it. I feel like I'd have such a hard time choosing
I guess
all
like
the
chaotic neutral kind of thing. Like you're generally very good, or chaotic good. You're very good, but like sometimes if there's a bad guy or someone being a bit mean, you might kind of like take it a little bit further.
Yep, totally. And so I guess with the Caden stuff, Caden / Ashley, or for I guess all of us Caden things, is so in Mass Effect 2, right? You're with Cerberus. Caden is very anti-Cerberus because he knows they're bad, and he's like, Shepard, what are you doing with them? And for you, the way you can play that is, I'm with Cerberus because they brought me back, but I don't believe in them. Or you can be like, I love Cerberus.
I love them. They're the best.
Yeah. I'm guessing we all kind of played that the same way, where it was more like, yeah, I'm kind of with them because they're helping me fight the galaxy, but I think they're bad, and I push back on the elusive man.
Yeah, for sure. I really tried to get him to understand. I mean, obviously he struggled with that in the whole Mass Effect 2, and Steph knows this very well because she never forgave him. I forgive him, but but yeah.
I think, because I played it the same way, just because you're like, look, the council didn't listen to me, so I'm kind of having to go this route because the council's stupid. And also, if someone's going to bring you back to life, you feel like you probably owe them a favour, you know?
Totally. And that, like, at least in Mass Effect 2, not the whole time, but, like, some of what the elusive man wanted seemed to line up with what Shepard wanted. It's like, we need to fight Reapers, you know? Of course, he was doing other shady shit on the side that you didn't know about. But at the Tenet, you were like, cool, whatever. Like, it's fine. We need to fight the Reapers. I'll deal with this for a little while. But here, it's switched over and you're like, no, fuck Cerberus. We got to kill them too. So after this sort of intro section, kind of laying into it, I guess the end of the intro section is you go to the Citadel. Caden got hurt on the way out of Earth. He's pretty messed up, so you drop him off at the hospital. Your relationship with him can be impacted by like visiting him and what you talk about. So what we mentioned there a little bit, if you are understanding with him or if you're not, that can change a lot there. And then you also go talk to the council at the Citadel of all kind of your different peoples across the galaxy, and are like, hey, like the Reapers are actually here. We all need to fight together. And what you kind of see right away from the council is different ones are like, well, I got to protect my planet. and Shepard's
bloody council.
Yeah. Shepard's like, you idiots. Like, no, we all have to fight together or all of the planets will get destroyed. And a lot of the game from here is you trying to convince the world or the galaxy to work together. And you get dove into a lot of different fucked up political situations and things that have gone on between these different, races and all of that of, all right, how do we get this band of people of the galaxy to work together to fight this common enemy? And I imagine what kind of Shepard you are really dictates how you choose to do that. I'm guessing the way a lot of us, the three of us, went through it is more similar since we're all more heavy Paragon. I'm sure there's differences, but how do we get them to do this? So it sets a really hard task before you, I'd say.
Yeah, there's not a day that goes by that I don't regret saving the council in that first game.
The thing is, the council never learns. They never learn.
No.
Like they could be getting like absolutely murdered by the Reapers, and they're just like, "Nah, I still don't want to help you." And it's like, God, guys, come on.
They're the worst for sure. The council sucks. So it sets you on your first kind of course of mission. The way that the game ends up being set up is you sort of take on a group of like a certain demographic of the council, kind of each main chapter almost. So the first one is you got to deal with the Krogans and the Turians. That's who you wrap up with first. I guess also actually as a side comment here. I think something that's interesting of I think just showing the bigness of scale for Mass Effect 3 versus the second game is in the second one, it's mostly Shepard getting like his squad of people to go and save the galaxy. Now it's like the problem is so big and so here. He has to unite the galaxy to do this, so it gets bigger. It's not just, all right, I found a Krogan who will help me. I have Garrus. I have these elite people. It's no, we need everybody if we want to be here at all, which is cool. Like it feels very big and fits really well with the cinematic that we started with of just holy shit.
Yeah, I think it's really nice how it escalates like that. Because in the beginning, you're just trying to persuade people about this potential threat. And then kind of the second one, as you said, you sort of have to gather people to help you. And it just, it just kind of gets more and more and more. And now obviously you're trying to, unite a whole galaxy to fight this issue. And I do think it's a really nice kind of gradual thing.
Yeah, the stakes feel really high in this game in particular. Like it feels like finally all of this stuff from all the other games that you played are kind of coming to fruition, and you're just trying to get it all done now. Like you said, it was this possible thing, and now it is a thing, and yeah.
And it really felt like everyone could really die. Like I felt like if I played this game wrong, like legitimately there wouldn't be a galaxy. Like everyone would just...
for you, like last time you were facing all your squad and everyone dying, and now you're facing just everyone dying, like the entire world, the galaxy.
Just killed the planet.
Yeah, totally. It could just be like, there aren't Krogan now. It's like, like it felt that way, which was cool. Yeah. I think that they did a really good job of raising the stakes, and you like really feel the weight of it, and I think for how all of our Shepards are being so heavy Paragon, like I feel like Shepard feels such a like, I need to help the galaxy, I need to help everyone, like all of that kind of stuff, and oh man, what better like way to do that than this, it's cool. So our first group of people, though, that we're working with is the Krogans and the Turians. And this starts off with going to Palaven, which is the Turians' planet. And you have to find their new, council member. Their council member had died somehow. I forget why. But Primarch Victus is kind of like the leading general that's on the ground at Palaven, and so you have to go and convince him to come with you and stop being the warring general that he is and go do council stuff, because we need him to be able to convince all the Turians to fight against the Reapers in a together type of way, not just defending their planet. So you go down there, you help him out some, and you find Garrus there, and Garrus joins up with your squad. And, you kind of wrap that up. Primarch Victus is willing to go with you because you help him out, and Garrus comes with you because he wants to be in on what you're doing. So, Turians are in.
And Garrus is back. All is restored.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so happy to get Garrus back. He's been a favorite all the way through, so love having him back. Then, kind of on the Krogan side of things, a couple things happen. One is Morden Solis from the previous game, who's a Solarian. He kind of secretly lets the Krogan know that a couple females, Krogan, had survived these experiments that other Solarians were doing on them, because the Krogan... they have genophage, which means that they can't give birth anymore. And so this, of course, is really bad for the Krogan. And so you join up with Morden to return these females back to the Krogan so that they could start their lives again. And in this, Cerberus attacks because they're trying to steal the Krogan. So you've kind of got some chaos going on there, more about the Krogan, and also more Cerberus going on.
I love me a Morden. I was very excited to at least have Morden around for this particular thing.
For sure.
And obviously Krogans again, because good old Krogans.
I also loved, I don't know if we're going to talk about it more in a little bit, but I loved the Krogan female. The one that you get.
Yeah, she's great. Her name's Eve, I think is what they call her.
Yeah. And I feel like we hadn't really seen many Krogan females at all, because there was a whole thing about it. But so it was really cool to meet her, and I like that the females are just as strong as the male Krogans as well, and just as badass. That was really cool to see.
Yeah. And it was cool just her I don't know, perspective seemed a lot better than a lot of the male Krogan that you've met before this have just been like, if it's there, I can kill it, right? And like that's their like whole philosophy. And she's like able to think like, I don't know, better big picture stuff of like, we're the Krogan. How could I, help lead the Krogan? How could the Krogan be good again? Sort of thing.
She's like I'm a kill things, but just also like think about it a little bit first.
Yeah, you kind of start to understand like how the Krogan were a society at one point. Like, because I feel like when you first meet all of them, you're like, how are you even alive anyway? Like, all you do is kill and headbutt each other mostly. Like, and then you meet Eve, and you're like, oh, okay, so there was some semblance of something like there. Like, this makes sense now. Like, I get it.
Totally. Yeah, I felt like she made it a lot more understandable of the functioning of their society.
What there was of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, but it's pretty different with her. So once you rescue her, the other females had died, so you only have Eve. And you go back to the council. The Krogan want Genophage cured before they'll do a treaty. They're basically like, if you're gonna suppress us still, like who cares what happens with the galaxy? We can fight whatever's in front of us, sort of attitude. And so the Solarians, everyone sort of agrees, okay, we'll cure the Genophage. But then meanwhile, the Solarian counselor tries to get you to trick the Krogan and say, hey, how about this? We'll defect the cure that will kind of go... Basically, you go to like the top of a dome in their planet, and like the cure will almost like rain down. And so they're like, hey, if you help us sabotage this and it rains down, just water or whatever instead, they'll all think they're cured, but they won't know. And if you do that, we'll be all in on you. We can join you, Commander Shepard.
So snaky. I didn't like that.
Yeah, absolute sneakers.
Totally. Yeah. I was like, fuck you. Like that was my like immediate reaction. Like, what? Yeah, not a fan of Solarian there. And so you go down to Tushunka, I think, is the Krogan's planet, and there's a Reaper that's there. And so you have this kind of wild battle plan. You've got the Krogan who are going to do kind of a ground assault. The Turians are going to do an air assault. And then you and your crew are going to go and make the cure happen. Kind of as a giant maneuver. And this results in, a lot of fighting on the ground, all of that stuff. But finally, Shepard and Morden Solace get to the Shroud's, elevator, essentially, to head up to cure the Genophage. And along the way, you've had the opportunity to share if the cure's been sabotaged or not. I said it early on, I don't think Reeve was around for that, but for me, Eve knew and Morden Solace knew. And so when we got to the end and it was looking really dangerous, Morden Solace is like, I can go release this. I've got to get it fixed. But I have to do it while I'm up there. And so he heads up by himself. And he has a quote that I really liked in this before he goes. And it says, had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong. And then he heads up and he gets the cure happening for the Genophage, but also dies in the process because it was a one-way sort of street ticket for him.
Yeah, this was heartbreaking.
Saddest mo time. Yeah.
I hated it. It broke my
Yeah.
heart.
Very sad to see Morden. Morden was one of my
But-
favourites from 2.
The interesting thing about this is I did Google, there is a way to save him. There is a way for him to live, but you have to do so many different things in the other games. Rex can't be alive. There's like just so many little things where I think you'd actually have to play the game fully just in the intention for him to survive. But I think there is a way for him to survive. But at the same
crazy.
time, you know, I think playing Paragon, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, Rex is around on this particular mission if he was alive from your first game as well.
Yeah.
Because I think
Right.
him and Eve work quite closely together in the end.
That's right. Because both of you probably had Rex, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. My Rex was dead, so that makes sense. He died in the first game.
Oh, yes.
So, okay, that makes sense. So Rex is the leader of the Krogan if he survived. If he's not, then it's a guy named Reeve who I think is just dumber than Rex, but is the replacement.
Lesser Rex.
So, okay, we did it. We cured the genophage, but sadly Morden is gone. And he's
R.I.P.
part of the plaque on our ship now, which is sad. That was wild when I noticed that it changed on there too. With your
That plaque's going to
memorial.
just keep growing.
Yep. Yes, it does. It has lots of friends on it, unfortunately. So, okay. From here, okay, you've dealt with the Turians and Krogans. You go back to the Citadel. And when you get there, it's actually being attacked by Cerberus. When you get there, there's like a weird thing about landing, and you realize, oh, something's up. And while you're kind of going your way through the Citadel, you find out that Kai Lang, who's an assassin, got sent by Cerberus to kill the Council. And so you're kind of going after him, trying to save the Council. And you end up in this spot where you've got a couple members of the Council who are with Udina, who are escaping on a ship, getting ready to get out of there. And Caden is with them, trying to protect them. And you get there, and you've discovered that Udina is in on the betrayal, that he's working with Cerberus, and was trying to take the whole council out so that the Citadel could be under Cerberus control, and Udina would be like the kind of leader of the Citadel.
What did you do now?
I guess it was no surprise. He has always been a dickhead.
He was always, yeah, he was the worst, wasn't he?
Definitely the worst. He sucks. And in this, you have a moment where you can have a standoff with Caden as to what to do. In mine, it resolved in me being able to shoot Udina. I did a renegade option here and killed him. And Caden also like stood down and wasn't mad at me and realized that I'm not bad like Cerberus, and in fact, Udina was.
For me, I had Udina, he was shot by like a Vermeer survivor. I can't remember how I got to that point, but he was shot by somebody else.
Okay.
So he still died, but yeah. I can't remember how I got to that particular choice, but that happened.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I had a very similar one. But this is where that like that talk that you have at the start of the game on Mars comes into play. I think it's like if you don't have enough like points with them, because you have like they started introducing this whole like persuasion check stuff in this one, and I think if you don't have enough for this, like you can lose, like you can end up killing like Caden or Ashley at this point.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Wow.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with the fact that they won't stand down, and like I think you can shoot them. But I think it's like if you don't, I think if you like renegade, you can shoot them. But if you don't do that prompt, one of your squad mates will just shoot them. So it's like either way,
Oh.
they did.
Wow. I'm glad I had the points then. Even though I didn't use Caden a lot, I would have felt sad to kill him. Wow. Okay. So from here, you're on to kind of your next part of the galaxy to try to unite to fight against the Reapers, and that's the Quarians / the Geth. And some kind of notable things that happen in this section. One is you need to board this Geth ship that's sending a beacon to the Reapers, and in it you, like, at first you're fighting Geths that are controlled by the Reapers. Once you destroy the signal, the Geth are sort of free, so to speak, and they get represented by a Geth that they call Geth 6. Or if you had Legion in the previous games, I think Legion is this person for you. And they are like, okay, we'll join your battle. You've helped, cure us from being controlled by the Reapers, all of that. Then from here, you head to Rannoch, which is the Quarians' home planet. And this is one where they kind of force your partners. So you have Tali and then Geth 6 or Legion, and you're battling other Geth that are controlled by the Reapers here. And you ultimately destroy a Reaper that's on here, and that's pretty wild, like actually taking one down yourself. And kind of this battling, trying to take care of Rannoch, results in a tough choice that you get here, which is the Geth 6 wants you to upload a code, basically, that's going to give the Geth free will, that these robots will be sentient fully and be able to choose their own way. But Tali doesn't want this, because the Quarians had made the Geth, and then when the Geth rebelled, they got kicked off their own planet and have had all the suffering that has gone with that. And she says that the Geth are going to destroy the Quarians if you give the Geth agency. And neither one of them will back down here. Like, they're not reasoning at all. They're basically like, if you let them live, they'll kill all of us. And the other one's like, if you let them live, they'll kill all of us. It's a mess. What did you do here?
So I let the Geth upload the code, and I gave them the free will, which, I'm sure we'll go into what happens with that.
Yeah,
okay.
I had two. So the first time I did an option that, again, was one of those sneaky hidden ones, which was like you can rally the fleet. So the first time I played this, everything was great. We just lost Legion. So to rally the fleet means that you basically convince both of them that it's fine. And I think it's like you unlock. Yeah, so it's like you basically unlock something, like you have a peaceful conversation between Quarians and Geth, and they're like, okay, fine, and you get both of them as war assets. But Legion dies because he decides to disseminate himself as part of a process to free the Geth. So you lose him, but you can have one that is peaceful. However, the second time I played it, I couldn't pick that option, and I picked the same one as you guys did. Okay. So yeah, I then saw this bit, and I was like, "What? No!"
Dang. Yeah, I wish I got the option you had the first time. I also didn't get an option to be like, you idiots, we need to work together. But they were so convinced that one of them would destroy the other. And so I uploaded the code so that the Geth would have free will. I said, Quarians, back down. Please don't kill them. They don't want to fight you. And the Quarians said, no, they do. And plunged to their death because they tried to fight the Geth, who were more. And they all got destroyed. And Tali is very sad to see all of the Quarians get destroyed, even though it was their own fault, and jumps off a cliff.
Yeah, so this moment was one of those controller dropping moments for me where I was just like, shit, what's happened? No. And I was so upset because I do love her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was gutted. It's like Morden, and now this, I was just like, no.
Yeah. I was very sad when I realised that was what happens if you don't have enough persuasion between them. I was like, no.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking. I wish I had enough persuasion. Um, um, I think this one was rough. I really liked Holly, so losing her and all the Koreans sucked. That was a bummer. It sucks that they were so stubborn. I was hoping they would reason. I didn't think. I figured if push came to shove, they would realize, oh, the Geth are sentient. We don't have to kill them. Let's just deal with this. I was hoping for something like that, but they were intent going down with the ship kind of thing, which was sucked.
Yeah, I think this decision was so shocking because it's not apparent. I always feel like before in the other games, and like we were just talking about that one in the Citadel, like you kind of know that there's a bit of a standoff happening. You kind of feel like, okay, someone might die here because there's quite an obvious pointing at somebody's head kind of thing. Whereas this one is so like we're just trying to figure out what to do. Yeah. And then you lose her and you're just like, what? No,
I guess it feels like there's more blurred lines between the right choice and the wrong choice, because in the other games it's like, this is right, this is wrong, this is the good answer, this is the bad answer. Whereas in this one it's like you're trying to do the right thing, but unfortunately like it's not always going to end well for you, and it maybe doesn't feel like the right thing. So I think it really makes you question what the hell you're doing. I definitely felt torn. I definitely thought, am I the bad guy now? I don't know. Maybe.
Totally. Yeah, I felt like the way this situation presented itself to me, it felt like the Koreans have a gun at the Geth, and the Geth are like, if you shoot at us, we'll shoot back. Like that's what it felt like. And so I was like, Koreans, stop being assholes. Like, get over it. And then this happened, and then I agree. Same thing as you, Nikki. Like, I was like, oh, am I bad? Yeah. Like, how do I make decisions?
With the Koreans, it's like, guys, like, you made these. Like, deal with the consequence of your actions. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Because everything from the Geth before this, like, before the upload was like, we'll live in peace. We'll join your battle. And the Koreans are like, nuh-uh. They're going to come fight us. And you're like, you should trust them. Like, they're not going to destroy you. Yeah, that sucked. I was very bummed by that. And yeah, I think really made me question anything going forward of like, I need to be careful, right? Morden's dead. Tali's dead. Am I doing the right thing? And you see Shepard deal with that a lot, I feel like, in the game too. Is like, I feel like Shepard will have these moments where he's like, I'm trying to save the galaxy, but am I even doing the right thing? Am I like doing well at this, or is everyone just going to die anyway, kind of thing? So yeah, that was cool. Kind of, this moves us to our next section of the game, which is kind of Asari focused. And so you go to Thessia, where they are, to help out. One thing that happens here that's scary is you meet the Banshees. So along the way, you've met like people that the Reapers turn into husks that are sort of like, I don't know, zombies, essentially. But Banshees are Asaris that get changed. And so they like kind of hover and are hard to fight and are scary as hell.
Yeah, they're horrible.
I thought that was a cool change on these, and you're like, oh my gosh, I hate these. Here also, you fight Kai Leng again, and you basically like, from here, you're like, okay, Kai Leng is kind of my ongoing guy I'm gonna battle, I guess. Because unless I'm dumb and missed something before this, he feels like he kind of drops in out of nowhere in this game, where he just shows up and you're like, oh, I guess he's my Cerberus rival.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It definitely feels like he's kind of I feel like it's the same thing with Cerberus the whole way around. They're just kind of there to push, to just be annoying, like, because you can't fight a Reaper, like a giant Reaper, I guess, every 2 seconds. So you have to fight like the Cerberus guys, just like jumping in every so often, being like, "Hey, don't forget about us. We're here to ruin your day."
Yeah, that must be what it is. Yeah, for some reason, for me, I felt like whenever I fought him, I was like, I care about the elusive man. I don't even care about you. Like, you're just a guy.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they want me to think you're the guy I really don't like. I'm like, I don't like you because you keep bothering me, but not...
Yeah.
I don't feel like I had a personal vendetta against you before this.
Sure.
This one kind of later moves you to Horizon. Miranda Lawson, who was a squad member last game, who was in Cerberus but then left and joined up with Team Shepherd. She has messaged you that she's going after her sister, who got captured by her father, and also that her father's been working with Cerberus because her father basically like gave her a bunch of biotic stuff and like made her, and Miranda ran away from that and joined Cerberus and stuff last game, and then kind of put her sister into hiding, but now her dad's got her sister, so her purpose is like, I need to save my sister. And so you go after Miranda to help out here. While you're there, you find out that Kai Lang is also there, and that he is after research that the father's been doing. The father's been researching into the Reapers, and I think he's made his own husks and stuff here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just been doing random stuff that's bad. I never really, it's one of those things with Miranda's dad where I'm always just like, I know you're not doing the right things, but I don't know why you're just off doing weird things, like, other than Cerberus research.
Yeah, it seems like he's almost like I don't know if he's even someone who'd be all in with Cerberus, but it's like, oh, they'll give me money to do whatever research I want. I guess I'll do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, he's scummy. So you're going through here, and it results in you go into this room, and you've got an injured Miranda in a standoff with her dad, who has her sister kind of like held captive. And for me, what happened here is I talked down her dad. I was like, I only want the sister. You can leave. I don't care. And he was convinced by that, and I was genuine. I would have let him leave. But he lets Oriana go, and then Miranda just kills him. And then Miranda is really hurt, and kind of as she's dying of her wounds is like, take care of my sister. And you're like, okay, I will. And she's gone.
See, she survived in my game.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say she can. I think she survived in mine. Again, I think the decision, it doesn't happen here.
Yeah, I think you need to have like a certain amount of things, and pass like a reputation check. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that like I think she kills him, like her dad, and she kind of goes off with Oriana at that point. So I don't know, but I'm definitely sure she survived mine.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with because you talk to her a lot on like the hollow-y thing in this game before you go and do this. And I have a feeling, like, depending on the conversations and how you were in number 2, and then those conversations, that affects it. But again, it's not super obvious.
I think you're right, because when I was looking into it, it sounded like I think I maybe had less conversations with her in this game than you're supposed to. I don't know what I did wrong.
Maybe that was why.
That's what I'm thinking, because when I was looking, I was like, I had a good relationship with her in 2, and I liked Miranda, so her getting killers was unfortunate. And again, all of my people are dying. I'm not doing a good job. Sorry, anyone who's been on the Normandy. I'm glad she survived for both of you. I was very sad when she went down too. I was like, I guess everyone's going, man. So I think I definitely talked to her some in this game, but I think I must have neglected it some, or like accidentally didn't warn her about Kai Lang or something. I don't know. I'm not sure what I did wrong, but I wish I would have done it right. I wish she was alive. Kind of the last thing in this section of the game is you do almost a final assault on Cerberus. You're like, all right, we've got to get Cerberus out of this. We got to take him off the game. We have to deal with the Reapers. Let's get Cerberus, off the board, essentially. And so you attack a Cerberus base. You kind of kill your way through it. You ultimately kill Kai Lang. The elusive man just gets away, though. So elusive man is gone, but Cerberus is seemingly destroyed. This heads you towards the end of the game, where I wanted to pause for, I think, two important things to talk about that aren't sequential necessarily, but would show up before the end of the game, but you could play them whichever way. So the first being DLC. We've talked about it a few times, that DLC was added to the game after the fact. And with the DLC, you've got kind of 4 main missions in here that you can play not whenever during the game, but largely whenever during the game. So I guess to pause, have you both played DLC? Have you played some of it? None of it?
I have played all of the DLC in 3. Steph, I know you had a few, but I don't know if you had all of them.
I only played one of the DLC in 3. Like now I have access to them from the legendary version, but I haven't played them because I haven't played 3 in that set yet. So I only did the Citadel. That's the only one.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That's good to know. So I guess quick summaries of them. There's one that's called From Ashes. You've got Cerberus, who attacks Eden Prime. In this one, you ultimately add Javik to your squad. For me, I did this pretty early on when I was playing. But Javik gets added to the squad. They're trying to steal something that's Prothean, and then you get there and you manage to steal it, and then it turns out, oh my gosh, it's Javik, it's a person. It's not just like a artifact. So that's what that one ends up being. The next one is called Leviathan. These are scientists who are doing a research into something they think could be able to fight the Reapers. This one's pretty wild, and you see the Leviathan control people along the way. And you go to this creepy base. There's one called Omega. This one you team up with Arya Talok to fight Cerberus. She had sort of a city that was, it seemed like kind of a crime underbelly kind of city that she was the head of. But Cerberus took it over, so you fight to take it back. And then lastly, Citadel, the one we all played. So I would say your kind of big things you get in this is you fight a cloned version of Shepard. And then also you get a lot of time with each of your squad members, and then ultimately resulting in a party before kind of heading off to the end.
Yeah, I mean, my overall kind of thoughts on all the DLC is just personally, I feel like I could give or take a lot of them. I think From Ashes was good because it adds obviously Javik to the squad, and I guess that's quite interesting. But I wasn't too bothered about the others. But Citadel, best DLC, I must say. But the Citadel wasn't a option when I first played the game because obviously it was later released. But I would say for me, the Citadel, when I did play it, I see it as a huge fan service and almost a little bit of a gift to everyone, because it's probably one of my favourite DLCs in any game. Absolutely love it. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Where I've never played the other ones, I kind of picture some of them, and I feel like I do want to play through them, but I do feel like I'll be it's a bit of another extra mission to do. Whereas, like you said, Citadel feels very different because of that end thing. I think the overall story of the actual mission was cool, but I could give or take that part mostly. I think it's more just just give me the party. I just want to go to that party.
Yeah. Something I agree. I think the other 3 are kind of they're just missions. They're cool. They add to the game, I guess. Citadel, definitely fun. For me, something that sort of sucked in my Citadel experience is I accidentally played it really early. It lets you trigger it, right. And I probably played it halfway through the game.
Yeah.
I was like, we're not done. Why are we doing this?
We've got loads to do, guys. Why are we partying?
Right, yeah. I was like, we haven't done anything. So
it's not the time or place.
Yeah, I'm really bummed of where it got placed in my game. Because instead, I think because of where I played it in my game, it made me focus more on fighting Clone Shepard, which was I could go either way on it. I don't really care about Clone Shepard, but I really like spending time with my people. loved that. That was so cool. And I wish it wouldn't have unlocked until like right before the last mission.
I think that's when it's intended to be played. Yeah, it's that sort of last
Yeah.
hurrah before everyone potentially goes and dies.
Yeah, that's when I wish I played it. Like, I think that would have been amazing. And so I think that my experience with that is my fault on accident. But I wish they wouldn't have let it trigger so early, because I think I might have done it after the Krogan Torian part. Like, it was really early. Yeah, so party is very fun. Getting all your people, getting to talk with them. I really loved that. That was really enjoyable.
Yeah. It's got one of the best moments just seeing, if you have Grunt still alive, in the shower, drunk, yelling about sharks.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look that up. My grunt had died by now.
You need to find a way to figure out how to do the system, maybe again with like everybody, obviously, because I know a lot of people died in your games, but because having everyone there and the interactions is incredible. Even just watching it like on YouTube is really cool.
I should look that up. I think that would be perfect, because yeah, there are definitely people who had died along the way in previous games who I'd love to see again, and I feel like this would be really nice to get them all together for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lots of little stupid fun things in there, which is nice.
Yeah, I thought so too. They were really like endearing to your characters, of like, I already like you, I like you even more, or I'm kind of neutral on you and I like you more because of the interactions we had here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really great. The other, I would say, big question before going into the final of the game is, who did you romance? So of course these games have romance building through them, and you sort of get the last romance option. If you've locked someone in, then go to your cabin before heading to the end. So did you romance anyone?
I think we all know the answer to my question, and that is my husband, Caden. It was always him. It was always him. We had some issues in Mass Effect 2, some disagreements, but it all came back together in the end. So, he's my man.
Yeah, and also, in true no surprise for anybody, I was Garrus. But I would like to point out that the very first time I played through these games, I didn't realise that Garrus was like an option. And so I got to 3 and then realised that you can kind of only like romance him if you've done it in 2 in 3. So I replayed through like the whole games just so I could have a full Garrus romance.
Oh, wow. So can you romance Garrus in each game then? Like all the way through?
You can't in 1.
Okay.
And so you can in 2, and then you can in 3, but only if you've romanced him in 2. So it's like you pretty much have to hit that window in 2, or you get nothing.
Nice. No, all right, that's great. For mine, I romanced Liara. I think in the second one, I didn't romance anyone. So, yeah, a change for me, I guess, on that. But I felt like Liara and the bond, and I think, again, like with some of these other characters, they've been around since the beginning. It's like they've built a bond with you for games. Yeah. And so, I don't know. I like that. It felt pretty natural. I felt like in the first game, they tried to not warn you, but had some of that element of like, Shepard, can you romance someone who you lead into battle sort of thing? And I felt like by the time I got here, it felt like, yeah, we've built a life together fighting for the galaxy for years. Like, of course we're together sort of feel. Yeah. So I liked that, and also felt scared going into the end of the game. I was like, man, if you don't make it out of this, I'm going to be real sad.
It does a real good job of that, of making you go like, oh no, like now everything's kind of pieced together in your life. It's like, well, watch it just all crash down on you. Like,
Right. Yeah, for sure. I asked a couple people online, people wrote in what they thought about this. First, Hello Coffee wrote in and said, I romanced no one. I was married to the mission, which I thought was funny.
Dedication.
Mm-hmm. That was great. Viking wrote in on Twitter and said, Tally. HK on Twitter wrote in and said they've done Liara, Ashley, and Samantha Trainer. And then last, Nikki wrote in on Twitter and said, first playthrough Liara, obviously, because I carried that romance through the trilogy. Now I often go for Garrus or Samantha. Such a bummer you can only romance her in Mass Effect 3. If I play as male Shep, it's usually Tali. I also want to point out that that Mass Effect 2 Jacob romancers are done dirty as fuck. Guy just goes into a relationship with another woman and gets her pregnant. Shepard was in Alliance custody, for fuck's sake. Of course, there's radio silence.
I didn't know this because I didn't like romance Jacob,
No.
but yeah, it's not very nice.
No,
Damn
yeah.
it, Jacob. I knew it. Just looking at him, I knew it.
Yeah, that sucks. I'm also glad I wasn't someone who romanced Jacob. That would be very disappointing. I did like Samantha also, who got mentioned along the way. So she's like your comms person in this one. She's a lesbian, so I played as male Shepard. She wasn't interested, but I also didn't go for it, so that was also good. But I did dock with her a couple different times, and she'd like come play chess or whatever. And she was cool. If she was bisexual or straight, I think I could have seen myself going for her instead of Liara, because I did really like the time Shepard and her interacted.
I don't remember how I did this or in what sense, because obviously I was like fully Caden, but I did dabble with Samantha Trainer, not gonna lie. Because she's cool, yeah. But as I said, maybe it was one of those things where I sort of like saved it, I did it, and then I went back because like obviously it's a bit mean to do that to Caden, but I definitely did because I'm just just curious.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit sad that you can't romance Tali as a female, because she's one of the only characters that you could have every single, like you could have had a relationship with from 1 to 3. She's kind of always with you. Versus like, I feel like there's a little bit weirdness sometimes in like, because 2, everything kind of flips a little bit and you just lose a lot of like ability to be with a few people. You gain people you didn't have in 1. Because like Thane I romanced in 2 and I loved Thane, but then obviously Thane is no more in 2 and the same thing. So I was always really like bummed out that I was like, oh man, so does that mean I get nobody for 3? Or change for 3? So yeah, would have been nice.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be nice if there are like multiple romances that could be all 3, because that's like, I imagine what people would want is like, oh, could I romance someone the whole time? It's like they've been with Shepard all the way kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, me and Caden had a breakup, so I guess we don't really count. We obviously couldn't romance in 2. So.
He doesn't want in 2, so yeah, it's no.
Did you romance someone in 2? I don't remember.
Originally, I romanced Thane because I thought me and Caden were over, and I was like, well, whatever. So I romanced Thane, and then obviously that happened. Then he just sort of went off and died anyway. And then I sort of, when I played 3, I was like, oh shit! I was like, I can now romance Caden again, and I felt really bad. And I can't remember. I think on my second playthrough, I didn't romance anyone in 2 because I was like, I'm staying loyal to my boy. Obviously, I didn't the first time, but yeah.
Okay, cool. No, that's awesome. Cool. All right, so those are our romance options. Finally, end of the game. Shit's going down for the final time. So you find out that the Citadel is kind of the final piece of this weapon called the Crucible to destroy the Reapers. I guess side point on the Crucible. So as you're rallying resources to fight this war, you also find out about a weapon called the Crucible that the Prothean were building to fight against the Reapers. And you don't find out what the final piece of it was. And so you're like, fuck it, we'll just build it until we get to that last piece. And if we figure it out, then we'll survive. And I guess if we don't, we'll be gone like the Prothean. So let's see what we can do. And so you head to where the Citadel is, which is actually on Earth, because the Reapers have already taken control of the Citadel and they've moved it over to Earth. And they're kind of using that as kind of in their final spot of we're destroying civilization everywhere. But we'll start here. So the game starts out, you're landed on London. London's been destroyed. It's kind of war ravaged. And you have a lot of kind of ground fights with different enemies, but then you also get a lot of chances to talk to each member in your squad. So you're kind of having these almost final goodbyes, like, hey, if I don't see you again, you know, you're a great friend, that kind of stuff. Heading towards kind of the end, which I don't know if this felt this way for you two, but for me, I felt like the stakes just felt so raised here, like even more. You're like, you're having all these moments with everyone, and you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna see you again. Like it felt wild.
It was so intense, and it was us very cinematic, and just it was a lot. But it was so good. I think the way that it like built up to that, you really like. I felt quite anxious. I know I did. I wanted to save everyone. I wanted everything to be okay, but you just didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's such a build up through this, and you do that little walk through everybody, and talk to them all, and it's just there's just such a weird kind of build up to stuff, and you're just like, oh, so much chaos.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it felt big, and so you make it to kind of your final charge, almost, and so you get outside of where the Citadel's at. You've like battled your way there. And the way the Citadel's set up is essentially there's this like elevator thing, essentially, that if you like manage to run into it, you'll get shot up to the Citadel. And so they're like, okay, we can't all get shot in this charge. Let's just all charge towards it. And if someone makes it into the Citadel, they'll be able to, you know, use it to complete the Crucible. And then they'll rush the Crucible to you, and, you know, boom, we'll do it. And so you start the charge, and people are getting shot at. And here, you've got your squad with you, and there's a shot near them. For me, it did not kill them, which I was thankful for. And in mine, I had Garrus and Liara with me, and so Liara gets hurt, and I call the Normandy, and they head down there, and then Garrus gets into the Normandy with Liara, and they head off for medical attention, and Shepard resumes his charge. And then from here, Shepard like keeps charging. You just see everyone getting killed around you. You see a shot come towards you. It looks like Shepard got killed before you get there, and you're like, holy fuck, is this how the game's gonna end? Did we die right before? But then it picks up, and you've got this really injured Shepard who basically like hobbles his way to this elevator and then gets beamed up to the Citadel. How did this go for you two? Was yours similar to mine, or what happened here?
Yeah, I think it was quite similar to yours, to be fair. What about you, Steph?
Yeah, I don't remember much differences in my playthrough to that. I feel like it's very much like everyone charges, and you just about make it. You just see a lot of what you think is happening. Okay,
cool. That's good. I think if you don't get enough war assets, maybe they all just die here. I mean, I think Shepard still makes it, but I think your friends can all get killed here.
I think, I don't think I had such a traumatic experience. I think for the most part, I made a lot of effort to make sure I had enough like war points and everything. So I think it was chaotic, but I think generally it was okay.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where they've made it look like a lot of people are getting like shot at and killed, but I don't think many people actually died in this, for me, if that makes sense. I think it kind of makes it look like quite a few people get taken down, but I think I can't remember now what happened, like when it gets to the end I think everything was okay, again because I was similar to Nikki, where I was really obsessed with having all of the war points possible, and all of the options, so I think eventually it works out, but I can't remember.
Cool. No, that's good. I was the same way. I just got as much war points as I could, so I was like just scanning planets and all of that stuff for a while. But I didn't want to like look up how many points I need. I was like, I need to leave some of this to chance, but I'm gonna try and stack the deck in my favor. Like, if they want to kill my people, that's fine, but I don't want to get them killed for my negligence. Like I have other times. So final charge, Shepard's beamed up though, and When you get there, you're in this like fucked up citadel, basically, where there's like a lot of dead bodies everywhere, and there's like robots kind of moving along the dead bodies. And you end up getting a comm, and it's Anderson. Anderson, like you, happened to make it up, but he's also in rough shape. So the two of you are heading there. You go and find him. When you find him, you find the elusive man on the Citadel. He's there, and he basically is planning to use the Citadel to get control of the Reapers, and, you know, he'll rebuild the galaxy in his own image, kind of thing. In this, you can kind of have different conversations with him, and different stuff can happen. For me, once I had an option to kill him and go renegade, that's what I did, because elusive man's got to die. The end. Like, that's a guy who doesn't get second chances. Sorry.
Oh yeah, he's going down.
Yeah.
So I kill him, and then you have this moment where like the window of the Citadel looks out over Earth. You've got Shepard and Anderson sitting down next to each other, like both really injured, both not doing real well. And they sort of have this conversation of like, "I'm proud of you, son," sort of thing. And you're like, "Ooh, the feels." And then Anderson kind of fades out and dies. You also don't see that the Crucible weapon has worked here. You're like, we tried the best we could. It's sort of that feel. And then Shepard like sees a platform he can go to, and he like stumbles his way to it. The platform beams him up, and you talk to this like holographic kid almost. I don't know what I'd call him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that weird hologram child.
Yeah, it's strange. But the hologram child basically explains, hey, you're here, you have a choice. What do you want to do with the Reapers? And you can ask him like a few different questions, but it's also like a little vague. Like he doesn't spell it out 100%. Like this is definitely what happens all the way, but he does describe what happens kind of for each sort of option.
It was very confusing for me, understanding what on earth I was supposed to do. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, it was quite vague.
It took me a really long time to understand what each thing meant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even in the end, I kind of went, I think this one sounds the best one. But like, yeah, it was difficult. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I thought it was a little confusing. Not that, like... Because I think, too, how he describes it is he, like, describes what happens with each one, kind of. But he also tells you, like, a different area to walk to and click it as to which decision you choose. And I was like, all right, I think I'm choosing the one I want to. I hope I chose the right ending.
Yeah.
And I did choose the ending I meant to, but it did feel a little confusing. But I guess this, of course, is the big question. What did you two choose for your endings?
So, I have a bit of a thing with my ending.
Okay.
So I played it when it first came out, and this was before a lot of things happened. A lot of the before the Legendary Edition, obviously, and before the extended cut edition came out. I chose Synthesis, which I find really hard to understand, but from what I'm aware, it's one option where obviously Earth is saved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought sounded like the good ending. I'm sure we'll get to that in a minute, but you guys say what you picked first.
I mean, I was the same as you, Nick. I went with Synthesis because it seemed kind of like the whole Death Quarrying thing. It felt like the nicest thing between the options.
Yeah.
Like
I was trying to pick like, how do I not die? I think that was my thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, nice. For me, I chose the control ending. So in the control ending, basically what happens is almost kind of like Legion or the Geth did before us. You almost upload Shepard into like the Reaper control thing. And so Shepard like becomes the consciousness for the Reapers. And so he's not a person anymore. And instead his like mind can control the Reapers. So I did that. And so basically what happens is, because I don't know if you had a bad Shepard, it'd be different. But my Shepard basically was like, okay, cool. And then everyone just left. And yeah, he somehow controls their consciousness now. So, very weird.
Yeah, because synthesis is like... synthesis is basically like... It basically means that there's no difference anymore between synthetics and, like, humans or humanoid creatures.
Right.
So basically it means that the Reapers don't have a purpose to kill everybody, because they're like, oh, everybody's all the same. It basically gives the Reapers what they want, because they don't want organic material, like people, is what I think they call it. So it basically means that everyone's like all Reaper, and so that just stops it, because it makes everyone one giant weird half family, I think, is what synthesis does. But yeah, you melt into to do it. I think you basically just melt. I don't really know what happens to you, but you melt. But you do see everybody at the end. Like, I know Joker and Edie, and a bunch of my squad mates came out of their ship and were like, "Oh, the sky is now green," or whatever color it goes, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, mine had that too, where everyone got out of their ship. Too
cool.
So it's sort of. I think with the synthetics, right? The idea is everyone almost becomes like a biotic kind of thing, almost like you're some of both. I think in the synthesis one, the reason I didn't choose it is maybe they said that the what's the hyperspace portal thing that lets you like jump from galaxy to galaxy?
Oh, the Mass Effect relay. Yeah,
the relay.
That gets broken.
Those get destroyed. So it was like a bunch of everyone becomes like a biotic, but a bunch of technology breaks, and so the idea is right, they can like build back up.
So I guess, yeah, in a lot of ways for you, you kind of sacrifice yourself and your being almost. You become, it says, I think you can keep your memories, but you are kind of I don't know, you don't have a physical body. You're very much just kind of like a thing in space. I don't know.
Right, yeah, because I think in mine, I think that was part of why I didn't, is that maybe the mass relays stay. So I was like, okay, civilization exists, but Shepard's gone. So was sort of my thought.
I wanted to mention my first experience with the ending, because as I said, I played this when it first came out, and this was when everyone got really angry. I was playing it and I picked my ending, and then I noticed that when I picked my ending, I was dying, because back then it very much was like, you're dying. Like, it was like all options, you're dead. So as I was noticed I was dying or whatever was happening to me, I turned my PS3 off. And I didn't go back until they released the extended cut DLC. And obviously things have changed since then. So yeah, I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute, but I just wanted to tell you that's what I'm posting, because I'm an idiot and I didn't want to. I was like, I've not come this far to just die. I was very upset.
I know, that is upsetting. So, okay, I guess as a clarifying question, in the synthesis one, is Shepard alive then? Like, can he go back and be with his crew and stuff?
Originally, no, I think, right?
No. Yeah, originally no, but it's a lot. So with the extended, I'm still trying to get my head around it, because I only really dealt with this a lot later. But there's the perfect ending, which I think maybe you can pick other ones as well and still get the perfect ending. But I know synthesis is definitely a part of it, where it has the cutscene. Obviously, you see everyone, that's fine. But there's the kind of hidden cutscene of you see the N7 armor and you see like yourself in rubble, just like a bit of your body, and the whole thing is like you can see Shepard take a breath, and that's the kind of ending that basically everyone kind of persuaded them to make, so that everyone potentially thought that he or she was still alive, and that's the ending I wanted, and that's the ending I got in the end. But originally, I think it was very much like nope. Dead, and that's why everyone kind of had an absolute freak out, and they wanted more than that.
Okay.
There is also apparently another ending where you can just refuse to make a choice, and the Reapers like destroy everything. It's like you just say I refuse to choose, and that's it. It like you just walk away, and then the Reapers continuing destroying things, and I think it's like hinted that they then get beat in the like returning, like the next cycle.
Can you imagine just be like, nah, I can't be bothered.
I've done all this work, but you know what? I don't want to choose. Yeah. So
So Dan, I'm assuming you wouldn't have got that kind of ending with the armor and the breathing or anything like that, or any hint that Shepard was alive.
No, instead I think
No.
we just get maybe he has a voiceover of him like being gone. I don't know. Maybe not.
I guess with the control one and maybe the destroyer as well, like there is kind of, it's very clear that you would die, I suppose. Whereas the synthesis, I guess, doesn't necessarily clear cut that you would die.
Right. Yeah. I feel like synthesis makes sense where Shepard could live since he's both, right? He's because he got repaired by Cerberus. Like he's not all human anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. Shepard's just gone. I'm guessing his consciousness is ruling the Reapers, which I guess since my Shepard was good, that's probably a good thing since he's been altruistic. I wonder if Renegade Shepard would be a bad thing to be in control of the Reapers. That seems like then he'd just kill people and harvest them for a different reason. Yeah, that's interesting. This one is one I'm not sure as much. So Christopher on Twitter wrote in, though, and said, I destroyed the Reapers and all synthetics. Sorry, Edie, but it was them or me. Which I think is interesting, because I would think that under this one, Shepard would still die, since he's, biotic, isn't he? So...
Maybe. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so. I think the destroy ending was definitely one that results in Shepard dying.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it to Edie and Joker. I just love them so much. I was just like, nope, that's not happening.
Totally. Yeah, same for me. I don't think I could do Destroy because of that, because I'm like, I just like brought the Geth around. I think they're great. I like Edie, I don't know, the people that are part biotic. I don't want them to die, Yeah, so I don't feel like that one would have worked for me either. Pogo on Twitter said, I think I became one of the thingies. It didn't really matter since I had to say goodbye to my beloved Liara. So it sounds like they did my ending, but more regrets. And then we've got quite a few people who are on a similar vein as you. Viking on Twitter said synth. Chris on Twitter said synthesis. Alan on Twitter said synthesis. I couldn't destroy the Geth and Edie for destroy, and control was just wrong. Reject isn't right, as the cycle will just continue. So synthesis. I would love to hear from Alan why control is wrong. I guess in my mind it feels right to have Shepard only take himself out of it, but maybe I'm missing something. I guess that like someone wanting to control the Reapers is a bad thing for sure. Like the elusive man wanting to do that, like that's wrong. I just felt like when I was playing as Shepard, it was like Shepard sacrificing himself so the world could continue. That was how I sort of viewed it.
Maybe because it just sort of feels wrong, I guess, maybe, like in the sense it just feels kind of icky. Maybe, I don't know.
The word kind of, like, makes it feel wrong as well, like that whole control thing, like you said. But I get what you mean. Like, if anyone was going to take over the Reapers, it should probably be the person being like, guys, the Reapers are bad, we should probably not do that.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I want to learn more about that, because, like, yeah, you're right. Control sounds really bad. When I was reading that's what they called the ending I did, I was like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. I was thinking this was good. So, I don't know. We'll see. I feel like based on the amount of synthesis answers, that maybe is the right answer. Or the good one, quote unquote. Last up, though, we've got Nikki on Twitter said, my original ending was destroy. But now it hurts, destroying Edie just as she reached quote-unquote life, destroying the Geth just as they became allies and friends even, helping the Quarians adapt by hacking into their suits and basically vaccinating them to one day be without their suits. Now I usually pick synthesis, even though the morals on that are somewhat questionable. Nobody asked to be turned into these hybrids, but I only see that as an improvement. Gosh, I must sound like Saren. So... yeah, kind of funny there. Finally, kind of after you get this ending, you get this kind of almost epilogue moment where it's in the future and there's a kid and his dad looking out at the stars, and the kid's dad is telling him about the shepherd in the sky, and who, like, took care of everyone. Basically, that the shepherd did this, and I thought that was pretty nice. I really liked that as kind of your final end thing of shepherd has ascended into this sort of legendary protector status. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it felt like nice to finally be appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah, might be dead,
Take
but
it
at
long
least someone
enough.
appreciates me.
Yeah.
That's true. I feel like everyone is always like, Shepherd, why do you do this? And you're like, come the fuck on. There's Reapers here. Don't know how to keep telling you this. That's great. All right. Finally, I guess that's the game. So we could move on to kind of our last section. Just talking about anything that we wanted to talk about that didn't come up in the game. I think this is just a little expansion on that, but I think Shepherd, for me, becoming like a legend, I don't know, felt really fitting. I felt like that's where Shepherd kind of was going the whole way and lined up with how I played him a lot. So I felt pretty like satisfied with my ending of like, if humanity's saved, even if Shepherd's not part, or not humanity, but the galaxy, you know, like everyone. That was always Shepherd's priority. So for me, I felt like, oh, this like wraps up well, and Shepherd being a legend, like, I don't know. I felt like it kind of fit because he was never a guy who would treat himself as a legend. Like, you know, when you see things where he's famous and they're like, oh, someone has an action figure of Shepherd, he's like, this is weird. He was never that way, but him ultimately like becoming this mythos type of thing, like, I thought that was cool. And I thought like a great way to wrap Shepherd up. And I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I think I came to terms with the ending a lot later, and actually, you know, I wasn't as mad afterwards, but I liked it. I felt like overall it was a good ending. I think that they did improve it with the extended cut and kind of giving you more hope that Shepherd did survive, because honestly that's all I wanted. I didn't want to die at the end. I just felt like it built it up so much, which is amazing. And obviously I say this to people obviously when it was happening, I'm like, if this game has created such an emotive response within you to be so upset that this is how it's ending, or this is, you know, Shepherd not making it, then that is exactly what they wanted, because you're emotionally invested and you're upset, and that means that the game has like meant something to you. But you know, I think for me, I've, as I said, come to terms with it. I really liked it as a game. It just, yeah. I like the fact that you had choices at the end. Maybe I wish that there was a happy ending where I could have gone and lived in a nice house on a nice planet with Caden and had kids and, you know, lived a life together. But that's unfortunately not how life goes a lot of the time. So, yeah, overall, I really liked it.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, like I think overall the game was just good. Like for however you feel about like the ending, I totally understand why it kind of got the reception it did, because you're the same. Like you just want those characters to live. Like it's the same reason we care when when everyone dies. You're just like, no, it's horrible. And to touch a bit on what you said, Dan, as well. Like I think the nice thing I think about the Shepherd story is that if you picture it from the very starting point in Mass Effect 1 to the end of Mass Effect 3, it's real not a... Like, I feel like in a couple of games, it's like you kind of almost start as a legend, and then it's just you doing lots of stuff, like, that's, like, legendary, and you just go on these big missions. Whereas, like, Shepard really felt like they were just, like, a regular commander at the start, and they just kind of had a ship, and they weren't even really in control of that ship because you had Anderson. And then you go through like each of the games and like build up and down, and like it's not like you're this crazy amazing figure. It's like you really had to work to become like the thing that you end up being, and it just makes you kind of really, I don't know, appreciate your character a lot more, I think.
Yeah, I really like that. That's super well put. Because I felt like when you took over Shepard in the beginning, you know, they were just a soldier. It was like they're trying to do what they can, and then what they can became saving everyone, you know, but they didn't like, it wasn't like, oh, I always wanted to grow up and save the galaxy. It was like, no, I wanted to help people, and who that became everyone, and so I kept, you know, doing more crazy shit to get there. It's cool. I really like that. That's cool. I guess actually talking about this regarding Shepard surviving. So I know they've announced, I don't know, maybe like a year ago, a new Mass Effect coming. That seems like it has Liara on it. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but Are you hoping Shepard's back? Do you want Shepard to be gone? What's kind of your hopes?
I want Shepard to be back, but I know that they probably won't be. I feel like they're going to do it in a sense of what, not to like spoil. It's not really spoiling the series, but with like Dragon Age. So like there's a few different protagonists in those games, and like you can kind of you hear talk and you hear legend of one of the protagonists from like the first one, in like the second one and third one, and so they're a thing. They're alive. Like, well, maybe depending on what happens in the game, but. I think you'll see characters along the way, but I think Shepard as an entity will probably not be in the game at all. But that's fine. I would like to know what's going on with people and what's happening. But the truth is, I've stayed away from a lot of teaser trailers and a lot of things like that because I'm like, I'll see it when it's out. But
yeah, I think simply like I'm really torn with whether I want to return to Shepard or not. I think like Nikki, I really want to be a part of the world that Shepard was in and in the same time frame, because I feel like with Andromeda it was a good game, but it had feelings of Mass Effect, but it was missing, I don't know, I kind of wanted to see all the other characters every so often that I saved at some point like off doing a thing, like although I don't think they needed to be on my squad, I just wanted to be able to be like, I wonder what Garrus is doing, maybe, or like check in with them or have some semblance, like you were saying, like there's word around them and you know these characters and you kind of get a hint about what they've been up to. So I definitely want to be more involved in that kind of time period, I guess, more than I feel like I want to actually take my Shepard off on another venture. Although if they were like, yeah, Shepard's back and you're going to do like another trilogy, I'd be like, yeah, go for it, I'm down.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that like if Shepard is periphery, like maybe you can't even go talk to Shepard, but it's like, oh, here's some like things they wrote, but after the war they went and retired off with blah blah blah. But then you run into a somewhat older Garrus or something like that, you'd be like, oh cool, I love seeing
that would be cool.
I like that I buy my guns from you or something, like that would be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. No, that's good to know. I'm excited for whatever comes next. I feel like just knowing that got announced and being someone who's super late to the party, but now I'm like, cool. That's when I could pick up, right when it comes out because I want to see it now. So that's kind of fun.
That's another question for you, Dan. Do you think you'll play Andromeda, or have you played Andromeda already?
I haven't played Andromeda, and I don't know what to think about it. Basically, I've seen it get shit on a lot by people, but it seems like it's one of those things where maybe it's just, it's not the main trilogy, so people don't like it, and maybe unfairly so.
My advice would be, it's a good game, play it, but just remember that it's not like a normal Mass Effect game. Like it's a separate thing, so like have just low expectations. That sounds really bad. Have low expectations because it's shit. No, it's not. It's a good. If you treat it as almost like a standalone game and not a Mass Effect, I think it's a good game. Just treat it as like a BioWare game.
Okay.
Yeah, I think just a thing set in the Mass Effect world, but not attached to the old ones, is just like happens to be in the same kind of galaxy feeling area. It's
Okay. Do you get timeline for it? Like, is it before or after this? Do you know?
Oh, that's spoilers, I think, isn't it?
I guess that is. You're right.
Yeah, it's kind of spoilers.
Okay, I won't.
You're gonna have to play it and find out.
Yeah, I feel like that.
YouTube.
Yeah, I feel like I guess I'll just have to play it, and then maybe we'll have to come back and talk about it again.
If you ever get cravings for like just a Mass Effect game in general, it kind of, I think it kind of fills that.
Okay.
Like it filled that for me. I was like, I'm feeling like I want to play kind of a spacey Mass Effect game, and it provides that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of looking at it. Like, give it a little while if you've just played Mass Effect 3, and then wait for your like, I kind of feel like a thing.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to have in mind. Because I do think you're right. I feel like at some point I'm going to either feel, I want another space game, or I want another like Mass Effect feeling game. And that's good to have that out there, because I feel like, if that's what I'm feeling like I want, then it'll probably fill that nicely. Cool. No, that's good to know. I guess last thing that we haven't talked about that I had was, I think one way to view the Mass Effect trilogy is, it's all one big thing and, all of that. And I think even talking today, I feel more that way overall than them being separate games. But I think in terms of individual games, I think the one I had the most fun with and liked the most was Mass Effect 2. Then I think I'd put Mass Effect 3 and then Mass Effect 1. I don't want to play again. But but I think 2 and 3 I liked a lot. But I think just with 2, I think with that suicide mission just being so intense, I feel like that was like one of the greatest gaming moments I've ever had. Like that was just so cool that even though there were plenty of cool stuff here, I think that one like edges it out a little for me. But I think this game did a good job. And talking about it, I don't know. I felt like I focused a lot more on the scale talking together about this than I did in the moment playing it. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that order.
Same. Although, for me, I would say that my order would be Mass Effect 3, 2, and then 1. But maybe that's just because I was very upset in 2 because I was going for a breakup in the game with Caden. And that burned me a lot. And I know it's a good game, but like at the time I was just very annoyed about that. But I think one of the reasons why 3 is my favourite, even though I'm not sure about the ending, is just because it just has this epicness to it. And I just love that kind of thing. And it had a very cool, like, dark undertone as well, with what was, what was at stake. And there was just something about 3 that just, I remember just feeling so emotionally invested that for that way, it was, definitely my favourite. And 1 can bugger off, really. But no, 1 is still good. It's still a good game. Sets up the story, but yeah, it would never be my favourite.
Yeah, it's nicer to play now in the Legendary version, to be fair to 1. They tweaked things to make it feel more like 2, but yeah, it's still a little bit of a lesser cousin, isn't it?
I could see that. I bet if I played 1 on Legendary, I wouldn't have noticed it as hard. So I will give him that credit there for sure. Cool. That's all I had for general. Did either of you have other stuff you want to talk about we haven't hit up?
No, I think I'm good. I think we've covered everything. Been very efficient.
I think we have.
Awesome. Cool. Well, last up, we've got some comments from people, so we can go through those. First up, we've got Baron on Twitter who said, honestly, the best of 1 and 2, and made it great. MP made sense, and it's one of my favorites. The ending is still meh, but I understand why. I don't know why I don't know what MP means. Does MP mean anything to either of you offhand?
I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Main plot?
There you go. Smart. Okay, yes. I read it earlier, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I'll have to ask. Main plot. Yeah, I agree. I like that main plot as well. Swordfish on Twitter wrote in and said, it's been unpolished in certain areas, mostly due to rushed development. That said, I enjoyed it more than the other entries. The story was exciting and engaging, and the combat was best in the series. Alan on Twitter said, great gameplay, Citadel DLC is a must-play. It's great spending time with my squad mates, but why all the scanning planet missions?
Yeah, fair.
I agree with that. If I would have probably rather done less planet scanning and got more war assets for the missions we did do. That would have been helpful. Ulfric on Twitter said, full of flaws and not satisfying as expected, but the Citadel DLC is absolutely brilliant and probably the best part of this game. So, liked it a bit less than us, but loves the Citadel. Chris on Twitter said, over the years I found Mass Effect 3's ending to be gravely misunderstood, depending on which version you witnessed. Legendary Edition players will be glad they didn't experience the ending at launch.
Yes, agreed. I turned my PlayStation off when it happened. Very upset. Better now. Things have improved.
Yeah, I'm thankful to have even just the extended, like you described, of the endings. I feel like it makes sense that it would feel kind of bad, I think, for people if they've like, I've invested so much in this and then this is the ending. Like,
yeah, it felt bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm glad they stepped in and changed some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Viking on Twitter said extremely over-critiqued. For the most part, it equals or even exceeds Mass Effect 2 in quality. Shiraz on Twitter said amazing underwater experience, satisfying conclusion for Tally, or horrible, based on who survives previous games. Hilarious party at the Citadel, heartfelt legacy moment with Liara, best seats in the house with Anderson, really impressive, worthy conclusion. Christopher on Twitter said, I thought it was the logical outcome of the game. All the missions felt important, and Shepard took one hell of a beating at the end. Nikki on Twitter said, many don't like it, probably because the original ending before the extended cut update. Just the same cutscene with different colors, yada yada yada. But honestly, I enjoyed it a lot, especially the DLCs. Leviathan for its lore, Out of Ashes because Javik should have been in the base game. And it's no wonder Citadel DLC is called one of the best DLCs out there, along with Blood and Wine and Heart and Stones for Witcher 3. But I see the trilogy as one big story, and I see Mass Effect 3 as a great finale to an awesome story.
Agreed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And last one, we've got a little bit longer one from Mike, but they say, if folks had been able to appreciate the game given closure across its total runtime rather than focus on the last 30 minutes, it'd be getting a lot more love. Having said that, I'm curious whether the writers with more time could have salvaged the plot thread they dropped back in the Hailstorm in Mass Effect 2, the dark energy, sun dying, and all of that. The final boss battle is kind of underwhelming, but Saren is the only one in the series that wasn't. The send-offs with almost every character got were extremely satisfying and felt true to the character, except for Jacob, who was only further disserviced, especially if you romanced him. Overall, it's a very enjoyable game that met with the level of vitriol widely exceeded what it actually deserved. The closure problems were inevitable, as many serialized TV shows at that time discovered in parallel with the Mass Effect series. Setting up questions you not only don't know the answers to, but quite literally can't answer at the time you ask them. The Abrams mystery box method mixed with realities of media developed over multiple years is never going to lead to a wholly satisfying conclusion. Mass Effect 3 felt more epic in scale and cinematic than either of the predecessors, leading to some truly jaw-dropping encounters. Tuchanka and Rannoch are amazing in their build-up and payoff. Overall, Mass Effect 3 may not have a great conclusion. Many of my favorite moments, scenes, and levels are in 3. People treat the story like a gymnastics routine. 20 hours of marvelous technical and narrative work got overshadowed by a landing they couldn't stick. I think that's a good point, is people can hone in on that last moment. Probably more than they should with all of the other things that went on with that. I feel like I feel like especially like the Morden Solace moment, like things like that was so good. It was so sad, but it was so good. Like these good moments along the way, like they're huge. It's just at the end it might not have been exactly what you wanted. So I'm glad they made the updates to make that a little more palatable, but yeah, I feel like they did a good job wrapping their game up.
I mean, if people really want as well, like you can kind of just play like the main game and then play the Citadel and then just stop playing. Just end it to the Citadel.
That's true. just end with that. That would be I feel like that was quite the send-off if the game just ended with the party and you're like, and it worked out, I guess. I like that.
Yeah.
Just everything exploding in the background.
We partied too long. I like that. Awesome. Well, we did it. We made it through all of Mass Effect 3. This was great. I'm really glad we got to talk through a bunch of different stuff about this game. I guess before we wind down, I wanted to give you a chance to, again, plug your podcast, tell people where to find it, all of that stuff.
Yeah. So you can find us on anywhere that you listen to podcasts, Game Till 5. You can find us on all over socials. whichever one. And you can also find us at game5.co.uk. We'll be there. We release once a month, as we said, because life. But yeah.
Yep. We're doing our best. It's there.
We're trying. That's normally our tagline.
Yeah. Game till 5. We're trying. No, that's great. Well, you've done an episode about your favorite characters on Mass Effect, right? I feel like that was one.
We have. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We spoke about our top 5 favorite squad. Was it squad or was it non-squad? I can't even remember now.
I think it was squad. I think both, to be fair. I think squad members, but I think there were some Mass Effect characters mentioned in the Nord squad members. I remember talking about the big creatures that speak their feelings.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, I feel like I remember maybe non-squad coming up and then maybe the squad one. But yeah. Either way, again, thank you for coming on. This was great getting to talk this with you. If people want to follow us on Twitter, we're at StoryEverPod. Our website's TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com. There you can get all of our episodes or wherever you get podcasts, including 4 other ones with Steph and Nikki talking games. Most recently before this, Mass Effect 2. So if you want to hear us talk a lot of Mass Effect, it's out there. If you'd like to rate and review us on Apple Podcast or whatever, that would mean a lot. Just helping get the show in front of more people to be able to share in games together. I think that's one of the coolest things about this is just hearing what people think about the games and getting to enjoy them together. So appreciate that if anyone wants to do that. And that's our episode, and we'll see you next time. Thank you again for coming on.